Wow, thank you so much. I can't believe it. It's Saturday afternoon. It's the end of day 2, and but it's not the end yet because we saved the best for last. And I'm really excited to actually welcome and introduce Marc Friedrich. Well, Marc Friedrich. Marc Friedrich sounds like chopped up and doesn't sound right. Marc Friedrich. Somebody we wanted to have here in November already, but it just wasn't possible. But now I'm really excited to have him here in May, and really looking forward to his presentation. I'm not sure if he needs much introduction, but he's a best-selling author. He's published 6 books. Actually, it's nice that you actually put the cheat sheet up for me here with the notes with your background. So I'll just read from that. No, you super successful bestseller author, YouTube star. He's got a really successful YouTube channel with over 250,000 subscribers, and just a popular speaker at conferences as well. Like he was a speaker at the Invest in Stuttgart last week as well. Just really excited to have him present here to our audience. Very specific audience, very niche audience, and really looking forward to his thesis on the greatest opportunity of all times. And Marc, please join me on stage.
Thank you.
Thanks so much,
Thanks,
Marc.
Kai. Perfect.
Good
Thanks.
luck.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, marvelous to be here. I'm pumped. I'm excited speaking to you today because in November it didn't work out because you all know why, I guess. Yeah, we had Corona and we had a lockdown in Germany. Anyhow, who of you thinks that we live in exciting times right now, that we see a turn of an era, a paradigm shift? Please raise your hand. Okay. 60%. Okay, interesting. Yeah, definitely. We're witnessing historic times right now. It's the last 2 years were just crazy. We saw COVID, we had lockdowns, we saw the war in Europe and everything. And actually, I was writing about this stuff in my last book, and I start with some points about me. Like you already mentioned, Kai, 6 best-selling books. The last book was even the most successful economics book in Germany, 2021. And many predictions in this book came already true. For example, I predicted like 1 year ago that we will see inflation, that we see a renaissance of a nuclear power all over the world, as well as left-wing parties will win the election in Germany. And now we have a socialism regime in Germany with the SPD and the Green Party and many other topics as well. So if you want to read it in German, it's available, not in English now. Perhaps somebody wants to publish it. I'm very open-minded. Anyhow, if you want to follow me, you can follow me later, room 215, or you follow me on Tinder as well, Chicolo651, or you follow me on social media if you're not so touchy as I am. So anyhow, I'm writing on Twitter a lot, actually, and on Instagram as well. And yeah, if you want to check out what I'm doing or what my philosophy is, you can follow me on Twitter. Anyhow, any book starts with a quote, and I always try to cover the zeitgeist. And with the last book, I chose Leonardo da Vinci, and I think it suits pretty well. It says there are 3 classes of people: those who see when they are shown, and those who do not see. And I think the last 2 years proved that many people don't see, and I try to make people see, and perhaps I can put the puzzle together, because you need a whole picture right now. You don't only have to watch at economics, you have to see what's going on geopolitics or with taxes and everything, and there are crazy times. And there's a good book called Fourth Turning, and it's about cycles. And I wrote a lot about cycles in my last book. And if you look at cycles, you can explain actually what's happening right now, and you can look at the rear mirror and you see what happened in the past, and you will see what's happening in the future right now, actually, and how it plays out. And we're definitely in a turn of an era. For example, I've just call some points. We have the GFC, the Great Financial Crisis. We had the Euro crisis. We had the refugee crisis in Europe. We have right now record level of debts. We see a unique experiment of the central banks. We see actually like something like a planned economy from the central banks. We had the COVID crisis, the lockdowns. I call it the pandemic of lies, actually. We see rising inflation, the highest inflation actually in my lifetime. I'm 26, yes. No, just kidding. So that's I hope so. I hope so. Just colored my hair. We see rising inflation. We have right now 8.3% in the US. We have 7.5% in the Eurozone. It's a 40-year high. And I expect actually that we see peak inflation next couple of months. If nothing happens like, I don't know, war with Taiwan or Poland. But don't think that it's over with COVID and with the war in Ukraine. It's just the start. This decade will actually be pretty wild. War in Europe, like I already said, and left and liberals trust the government and big pharma, and now even scream for war in Germany. Yeah, so crazy times, oh? Did I promise too much? Well, too much, yeah, and it's getting more crazy even. And you know why? Because we see a paradigm shift. Because the monetary system, the fiat scam system, is going to end. And where are crises, there are also opportunities. And I wrote in the book, if you invest right now pretty wise, you will make actually a fortune for the next generations. But if you do nothing, and that shows the history, you will lose actually everything, between 50 and 100%. The problem is, in the past, 90 to 95% of the people never were prepared, never invested right, and that's the problem right now. That's why we do this here. That's why I write the books. That's why I do a YouTube channel and everything. And crises are opportunities. Look in your own biography. When did you hit when did you have the greatest learn effect? When did you learn the most? In a crisis, exactly. You know, like for example, your first bad grade in math, I guess, Kai, yeah? Or your first bankruptcy, or disappointment with your girlfriend or boyfriend, everything. And it's actually since the beginning of humanity. People learn through crisis. We need a crash, actually. And since the beginning of humanity, it's actually crises which make us better. And that's what we see right now. So humanity needs crisis, needs crashes to develop, to get better. And that's why it's always an opportunity. It sounds bad, and it will get much more worse before it gets better, but we will witness it and we will survive. Don't worry, you know? So, and there's a good saying, there's a good quote actually, hard times create strong men. And if you look back in the past, in history, it sounds actually pretty pervert, but all the crises are necessary for a new foundation of a new system. And if you look back, for example, 1945, it was the end of the war in Germany. Frankfurt, Cologne were bombed, were destroyed. 99% was destroyed in Germany. And as sick as it sounds, but this war was important. Why? Because afterwards, we had the biggest wealth effect in history, in human history. We needed this fucking war. It was a disaster, of course. But without this war, we wouldn't be there where we are right now, actually. And hard times create strong men. Here you see strong women. They built up the country, actually. And we had politicians with a spine, you know, which were great politicians because they took care about the people. Here, Ludwig Erhard and Konrad Adenauer. Ludwig Erhard is actually the father of the miracle, of the economic miracle in Germany. And strong men create good times. If you look at the politicians right now, Biden, he's a puppet. I don't know who is he shaking hands with. Or I don't know what's going on. Or German politicians or other politicians, they're not strong anymore. So those politicians who experienced a real crisis and knew what really matters, they created good times. And 25 years, we had improving wealth, improving society and economy. But the problem is, at one point, good times create weak men. Right now, we're living in an affluent society. We have everything, everything. If you go to Walmart, Tesco, or Edeka, we have like 1,000 different flavors of yogurt or flavors of condoms, even, yeah, it doesn't matter. Or soap. Some soaps sound like a smoothie, you know? And we have everything and too much. I bet everybody of you here in the room could get rid of like 70% of his belongings in the cellar, in the garage, and you still would have too much. Isn't it true? Yeah, you're laughing, you're like, yeah, it's true, fuck. My wife is like annoying me for the whole last 10 years that I have to get rid of this shit. Yeah. And that's why I didn't take a USB card, for example, from AMX. No. Yeah, anyhow. Good times create weak men. And now we see this adverse selection of politicians. I've got some German examples. You want to know them, yeah? It's like really capable, really competent German politicians, which are well known and people love them, actually. The guy with the funny face on the right-hand side, he's actually the most popular politician in Germany. He's our health minister, and he loves crisis. Yeah, I can tell you. Now we have monkeypox, you know. Anyhow, this adverse selection through the Dunning-Kruger effect or Peter principle brings people up in the politician system, which would never be possible in a system right now. Actually, it's like it's decadence, actually. And you wouldn't hire them for your garden, I promise you. But in the time right now, those people, they decide what's going on. And this is dangerous, actually, for our democracy. Yeah, problem is, and here ends the cycle, weak men create hard times. And you can see it the last 2,000 years. At the Roman Empire, at the Osmanian Empire, it's always the same. Always the same. There's a point of decadency and hybris, and then it just ends. And that's where we are right now. More politicians from Germany, yeah? And they create hard times. Right now, socialism, communism is en vogue again. It's trendy again. We're heading for socialism. We had socialism of the central banks, and now we have socialism in Europe. She, for example, I don't know if you know her, it doesn't work, the woman in the middle, it's Ursula von der Leyen. Who elected her? Just raise your hand. Nobody elected her, because she wasn't running for office, actually. She's the president of the European Commission, and she got installed. Because we all voted for Manfred Weber, but they didn't like him. And she had some problems in Germany with some consultants and everything, because she's like a criminal. And that's why they put her to Brussels. And that's the thing. Nobody voted for her, and that's the understanding of the European Union for democracy. Somebody got voted, and they installed her. Yeah. But let's have a look what's happened. Now, right now, that's the status quo. We have record debts all over the world, record money printing we've never seen before. Powell or Lagarde just print like crazy. They stopped now, but just temporarily. Don't worry, he comes back or they come back. We see incompetent politicians. We have very bad demographics. We had a big election last year, and I looked at all the programs of the parties. Nobody called the elephant in the room. It's demographics. They're horrible in Germany, in the whole Western world, even in the US or in Canada, everywhere. And this will be a ticking time bomb, actually, for the whole social system. We see inflation, and this is a cycle, the rise and fall of empires. It's the cycle of everything, actually, and it always is the same. You know, like 78 years ago, we had the New World Order with the dollar, with Bretton Woods and New Hampshire. You know, it's everything about money. Everything goes back to money. Money rules the world. So we had the US dollar in 1944, and then we had like 20 years of productive debt growth. You know, people invested in companies. They created jobs, and people tried to make peace because they were sick of the war. And prosperity was all over in the Western world. And then after a time, people got bored, and then we see a debt bubble. People start like investing in handbags or in sneakers, and then they go for vacation on debts. I have a friend in the US, Adam. He came from the university, and he had nothing, no income, no job, but he got a credit from the bank for $350,000 to buy a house in New Hampshire. And he got it. And you know, I'm from Swabian. It's a very conservative region in Germany. And I was born, actually, you know, with a, what's a Bausparvertrag in German, in English?
Mortgage savings.
Yeah, it's a really conservative investment. And I was actually born, my father made it already before I was born for me, you know? So I can buy a house one day. So I knew this is a bubble. I went home 2007 and sold all my stocks. It was too early, but it was good, actually, in the end. Yeah. And then we saw these debt bubbles. And we had the last 40 years, we had a Fed put. The Fed was always saving the economy from recessions, from wars, from crash, everything, actually. And this bubble, they bursted all the time. So then we saw money printing, debt growth, and it always leads to social unrest, revolutions, and war. That's what the cycle says, actually. It's a natural law. And the next step will be debt and political restructuring, and of course a new monetary system and a new world order. And we see already that the dollar is declining. We see that Saudi Arabia is accepting euro for oil. We see that Putin wants gold or Bitcoin for gas and oil. We see that China and India do it with euro or with rupee or with the yuan. They don't care anymore about the petrodollar. It's over. Yeah, and Lenin said there are decades where nothing happens and there are weeks where decades happen. And I have the feeling right now we are experiencing this decade, these weeks actually. So many things happened in the last couple of years, it's crazy. And like I said, I think it's just the beginning. Yeah, and here you see the power transition of powers, of economic powers. And we saw the UK, the Netherlands, China, and now you see the US is declining and China is getting up, but it's communism. Communism is actually very, very trendy right now. And I just read today on the way here in the train that we have more authoritarian states and governments than democracies right now. This is a very, very disturbing development, I think. And now we see the biggest bubble of all times, actually. I have here a number. Who can pronounce this number? Huh? Has nothing to do with Bitcoin, even if it's the same number, nearly. Trillion. You're not a banker. Yeah, but you're right. Yeah. It's $21 trillion. And this is a historic experiment because this is the amount of dollars the central banks all over the world injected into the system since COVID, since the corona crisis. It's incredible. You know how big the world GDP is compared to this? Nah. Okay, where are you from? I don't buy your shares. No, it's 85 trillion USD. So you see, nearly like 25% got printed in the last 2 years. Yeah, and this money has to go somewhere to get invested, and it went to the stock market, to the real estate market, and so on. We saw 2020 the greatest inflow into the stock markets with over $1 billion. But the most amazing chart is this one. You see in gray the global GDP, and you see in black the global market capitalization of all stock markets. And you see the global GDP, the gray line, was always something like a barrier, like a wall, invisible wall. And it makes sense, because GDP means all the products we produce all over the world. But the stock market never could be more in value than what we produce. But finally, with COVID, with the printing press, we achieved this goal and we got over it. We have right now, you see, we broke the line. It's like $120 trillion. But that's the question right now is, what do you think? Will the GDP grow with lockdowns, with inflation of 7-8%, with supply chains who are completely destroyed, with China in a new lockdown, with monkeypox? I don't think so. So either we grow or we see a stock market crash. And this already happened, actually. So if there is a recession on the horizon, stock market will even go lower. And then we see a historic low interest rate level. Even Jesus Christ had more on his saving account, like 10%. For me, as a conservative Swabian saver, it's horrible, you know? Because last 26 years, when I went to my bank, I always got like 3, 4, 5, 6% and a little piggy bank or something, yeah? It's over. And this is an experiment, because since 2016, we have zero interest rate in the Eurozone. So what do you see? When will we see much higher interest rates? In the Eurozone, for example. No? The thing is, I expect, for example, the Fed will go to maximum 2%. And then they will stop. They have to stop. Because they have to choose, will we destroy the dollar or the economy or whatever? They're trapped. They're totally trapped. All the central banks are insolvent, actually. We see the end game right now. It's really exciting. The problem is we have to pay for it. Yeah? But we witness history right now. The end game of fiat currencies, the end game of the central banks, who are all bankrupt. So in the Eurozone, we will never see higher rates, higher interest rates. And I tell you one thing, we are here in a protected area. I've got a friend at the ECB, and he tells me that they pray every day, actually, that the Fed will stop raising the interest level. Because they know they can't do it in Germany, they can't do it in Europe. Because we have too many companies, zombie companies and zombie countries, actually. Yeah, let's have a look. I love this chart. This is the balance sheet of the American central bank. And this, I have to show you guys, this was the great financial crisis. What the heck happened here? Which crisis was that? In the rear mirror, it looks like a children's party, doesn't it? Like a birthday party. It's nothing. This is when it gets exciting. We doubled it in 20 months. Now we have like 9 trillion on the balance sheet. It's still okay, it's 37% of the GDP, but still, if you paid attention at 10th grade math, this is exponential growth, actually. It never works in a world with limited resources. It never does. But this time we try it. This time it works. This time it's different. Yeah, of course. Yeah, same in Europe. It's even better. Look at this curve. It's amazing. It's a pawn chart for every economist, actually. 82% of GDP is in this balance sheet. And there's a really great video from Christine Lagarde on Dutch television. I tweeted it yesterday. And you just see she has no plan how to stop this. Because the interviewer asked her, how do you sleep at night with this curve, with this balance sheet? And she was just like, I don't know. It's hilarious. Yeah, and here you see something very funny. I think there is a little pattern. You see, like, on the left side, the national debt of the US, it's like 30 trillion. And on the right side, you see the value of gold mark in paper marks. What do you think? Looks pretty similar, doesn't it? That's the future. If you put Bitcoin in there, for example, Bitcoin against US dollar, it's the same chart. Yeah, but now we see a debt bubble we've never witnessed before. We have like 300 trillion US dollar global debt. It's incredible. And in the last decade, we made 50 trillion new debt for 20 trillion GDP growth. Every entrepreneur would say, okay, stop it, or would go bankrupt after like 1 or 3 quarters. It's incredible. And now it's even worse. Since 2020, since COVID, it's 4-1. So my outlook is, you can guess, not very positive. Yeah, the next thing is they need to put the whole monetary system on the next level. So we will see digital currencies, CBDCs, central bank digital currencies. Of course, it's just against, I don't know what they say always, it's like framing, it's because of criminals and tax evasion and so on. But it's to control the people, actually. That's the goal. So more socialism, higher taxes. I expect that we see the peak inflation next couple of months, and then we will see a recession, stagflation, and at the end we will see depression and hyperinflation, and then the end of the fiat currencies. That's how it worked out in the past. End of the euro, end of the European Union as well, end of fiat, not the company in Italy. But no, they're not in Italy anymore, they're now in the Netherlands because of the taxes. But end of fiat currencies, the fiat scam. And we will see extreme volatility. The time of passive investing it's over. Like, okay, I buy an ETF on the MSCI or something. This is over. You have to get active. It will be crazy. We will see bear markets. We will see valuations going up and down. It will be a crazy roller coaster ride. And I call it a dark decade because of social unrest and wars. But I'm a positive guy, don't think. I have a positive mental attitude, don't worry. At the end, everything will be fine. We will see a golden age, I guess. And here you see, for example, the value of the euro versus gold since the euro started in 2001. And it went down 91% purchasing against the purchasing power of gold. 91% we lost with the euro already. It's incredible. And that's why, actually, the age of real assets begins, actually, right now. It already started, but we're still early. We're still very, very early. And I started a series on my YouTube channel like 1 year ago. It's called the Commodities Supercycle, and I try to invite the most intelligent investors from all over the world, and I will show you the trailer right now. I hope the guys in the other room. Ongoing on my channel, and you can watch all the videos with Tavi Costa, Willem Mittelkoop, Ronnie Stöfele, and so on, and more people will come in the next couple of months and years, because I think the commodity supercycle just started, and it's the time to invest in commodities for the next couple of years. It will protect your purchasing power. I'm totally sure about that, and it's a once-in-a-life opportunity to invest in commodities right now. And oh, it starts again. Great. Yeah, because commodities are super cheap if you compare it to the S&P 500, for example. And this is the chart Thorsten was telling you. The fact is, in the first part of the presentation, I showed you the problems. And actually, now I try to show you the solution. And one solution is of course, to protect your purchasing power and against all crashes and everything. It's real assets, Something you can touch, something we understand, and everything which is limited through nature or math will have in future purchasing power instead of a paper, for example. And here you see how cheap we are actually. We had a little run now, we had a bull run, of course, but we're still undervalued. If you compare to the S&P 500, we're still very, very early. And we go up and down. And now I think we will see, we already saw a correction at the commodities, but this is just like one inning. So we have much more longer to go. Yeah, and then I have this chart in my book as well. It shows you when to buy stocks, when to buy gold. And if you look back in the last 140 years, you only had to make like six decisions, and you made from $1,000 like 60 million. You just had to choose between gold and stocks, the S&P 500 or the Dow Jones. It's really interesting. And right now, you see, we're just there. We should buy gold because the stock market is overvalued. If you look at a Warren Buffett indicator, if you look at Schiller and so on, margin debt, it's just overvalued so badly because of the printing press of the central banks all over the world. And that's why I think on the long term, you have to invest right now actually in gold or in commodities. And if you believe in artificial intelligence, in the green transition, then you have to invest in the foundation of this transition, of this revolution. What do we need for solar power, for wind energy, for Tesla? We need commodities. You're not allowed to tell this a Green Party guy or a Biden or a Kretschmann in Baden-Württemberg, yeah, because the head would explode. But without copper, without nickel, without zinc, there is no mobile phone. There's nothing. There's no e-mobility, nothing. So, and that's from Glencore, the statistics, what we would only need for batteries for the future. And you see, it's like 3, 4, 5 times more than we had in 2019. So the demand is incredible. I just read a couple of days ago, if we go full green transition in Germany, we would need, alone Germany would need like 12 times the yearly production of copper. Just Germany. How should this work? Doesn't work. It's a big disaster. And here, major copper discoveries per year. The last big copper discovery was in 2015. Since then, nothing happened. And everybody who is in the mining business knows exactly how long it does take to get all the permissions and everything. So even if we find a copper mine right now, till it opens, till we get the first gram of copper out of this mine, it takes like 10 to 15 years. In Germany, 100 years. So let's talk about volatility for the end. This is the chart of gold during the Weimar Republic. And you see it was a crazy, crazy and wild color roaster ride. It went up and down, 30% up, 80% down, and so on. And this is what we expect in the next couple of years. You have to get prepared mentally what's happening. So if you, for example, back then in the days, if you get kicked out with the first bear market, I don't know if you would have come in again, but you see at the end, you were, if you're hodling the gold, you were the winner. Because gold was the only protection for your purchasing power against the devaluation of the fiat currency of the Reichsmark. So you need definitely stick to your plan. That's why you need a big picture. That's why you have to see. That's why I started with Da Vinci. You need a fucking big picture. Sorry for my language. Shit, are you kidding me? Yeah, so what's the perfect portfolio? I think you have to diversify. More than ever. You need different legs of wealth, of investments, of assets. So invest in assets which are limited by nature or by math. I'm a big fan of Bitcoin, it's digital gold, but I would buy gold, I would buy silver, I would buy diamonds, I would buy mining stocks, and so on. Then if you have real estate, do it, but without debt, because I think we will see in Germany, for example, taxes on real estate. And I'm a big fan of uranium, for example, or tin, because tin you need actually very, very often. It's totally underestimated. And land as well. So I told you, if you want to follow me, it's room 1001. No, just kidding. I'm happily married. Anyhow, if you want to follow me here on Twitter or Instagram, and that was my presentation. I'm looking forward for your questions, and thank you very much for your attention. So, Kai.
How does agriculture fit into your whole thesis?
Very good, actually.
Land, but I'd like to extend that, like agriculture.
Yeah, I made recommendations in my book as well. I think fertilizer companies, or fertilizer at all, like with the Ukrainian and Russian crisis right now, or war, we have definitely a supply shock. So agro, definitely, I'm a big fan of farmland and companies like Mosaic and so on. So I think it's a big future cause. We have high demand, and we are very, very, very dependent from the just-in-time economy. And now we see how fragile actually our whole system is. And I talked to one of the biggest, the greatest farmers in the Ukraine. I made an interview with him, and he has like 100,000 hectares of land. And he said, if we don't stop the war till August, there will be a big famine going on in Africa and Asia. And he expects like millions of dead people. This is horrible. So we have to stop this war. Anyhow, this will, perhaps come. Yeah. More questions? Yeah, you can ask me. You don't have to whisper.
Why would you buy mining stocks? Because if we have a lot of disruption in
Yeah.
the supply chain, costs going up,
Yeah.
more socialism,
Yeah.
expropriation,
Yeah.
more taxes. So why not just stick to gold and to other commodities?
Yeah.
Mining stocks.
So I think a recession is coming, and in a recession, of course, everything got sold except cash. Cash is king in a recession. So I would definitely buy part of my allocation right now, in good quality mining stocks. But I expect lower prices. So I would wait, and I would buy like 5 or 6 times into the market when it dips deeper. So at the end, it's like a call on gold. If gold goes up $20, the stocks go up like double or even more. So that's why I'm a big fan of mining stocks. And gold, silver, copper, nickel, tin, uranium, I'm a big fan. And in the past, I have some. Do I have it with me? No. In my book, I have some charts of the bull markets in gold and silver in the past. It was always better to have stocks than silver or gold physical, because the stocks went up much higher, much better investment actually at the end. 10 baggers, 100 baggers, and so on. That's why I would invest. But I would wait right now for the recession, because then you can buy First Majestic for like $3.
Okay, guys, buy now.
Nah. Which company is it?
So I follow your reasoning there, but how do you justify that argument with the argument that fiat currencies are going to end? Because you're buying stocks in fiat currency.
Yeah, but if you look in the past, for example, we had in Germany, we had a new currency in 1948, and you protected your wealth in real assets like stocks, for example. Yeah, it was a protection actually. Or 1923, the same game in Germany with the Weimar Republic. If you had gold or stocks, it was a better protection than having fiat money in the safe or under your pillow. So that's why you should diversify. Because I wouldn't bet everything in the casino on one number. I would buy different assets to protect myself. Because the world can go crazy. You know, if you have socialist leaders and they say, okay, we ban gold, or you have to pay crazy taxes on stocks, this can happen. Everything can happen right now. And that's why you have to diversify. In Germany, for example, you can buy totally legal, like €2,000, totally anonymous in gold and silver. Yeah, but this window of opportunity will close in the next years. I'm sure about it, because they want to have the total control over everything.
Okay, I follow that and I agree with you.
Thank you.
At the end of the day, if I own my stocks, when I liquidate them, I end up getting payment in fiat currency.
No, because you'll have a new system and you get a better.
You get Satoshis then. You get Bitcoin then. In my dream world, you get Bitcoin then. Yeah, of course. If the old system wins, we will have a new scam, the new dollar or the new euro. And then you have to... the question is, if we have a new fiat scam, will you ever sell your stocks or your gold in the new paper money? I don't think so. Perhaps you say, I stick to my assets. It's better than having the inflationary fiat system money.
It's better to get the money out of Germany. Because here is more socialism than in Canada or in...
Canada, Trudeau. Yeah. The last 24 months showed that Trudeau is a real socialist leader. So anyhow, you should get the money out of the banking system and out of sight of politicians, because they are always greedy. They never can have enough money. The problem is with socialism, they need the money of other people. Yeah, that's why you can protect your money in buying, for example, like a gold coin, a silver coin, Bitcoin, diamonds, which is totally legal in Germany, like totally anonymous. You don't have to show your passport. Yeah, you should do it, of course. Or stocks, good quality stocks.
So you're talking about these cycles.
Yeah.
They have always been the same. Like the Roman Empire.
Yeah.
What you stated, I totally agree with that. But so it always ended, like in that big crash, or and it was war, a lot of destruction.
Yeah.
And you said 45 was also necessary in order to build this new system.
Yeah.
So do you think that we can avoid that big destruction? Do you think that we will have a physical destruction also to be able to actually build up again?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, and I don't have any strong belief in my fellow citizens here. If I look outside, so last 2 years, I was always positive thing. I always thought this time is different. This time we will learn from the past. But the last 2 years just showed me no chance. It's propaganda, it's a mass psychosis, and you can... I always asked my grandfather, he was at the SS, yeah? I'm not. Okay, and I asked him, how could you fall for Hitler? It was so obvious. And he tried to explain it to me, and I was like, nah, I would never fall for it. Oh, now we're so intelligent, we've learned from the past, it will never happen again. COVID showed me exactly the difference. I lost friends on this way, actually, last 2 years. Yeah, good friends, intelligent friends, PhD professors at the university. And right now, they are the biggest Nazis ever.
That's actually how I started to watch you.
Oh, you watched me, that's you. Oh, finally I meet you. Kai, there she is. Thank you for inviting her.
I lost so many friends in that time.
Because of me, I'm sorry.
I found a little, little piece that
The question is if you're on the right side of history. And I know we're on the right side. I feel it in my guts. And the last month, they showed it. They proved it, actually. All the lies came out. All the lies. Pfizer leak and everything. I know so many people who have really trouble with their vaccination and get sick and everything. And this is just the beginning. And the same with the fiat currency. When I learned about a monetary system, I just knew it. It's a fucking scam. And I experienced it in Argentina in 2001 when the peso got bust. I lost 70% of my purchasing power overnight. And then I started digging deeper and had a look at Malone and a monetary system, Hayek, Austrian School of Economics and everything. It was like, whoa, mind-blowing. And I went out of the matrix and bought and invented Bitcoin and bought gold. No, just kidding. It wasn't me. It's Kai, Satoshi. Thank you for watching, and please share the videos, and hope more people will watch it. More questions? But I stick around, so if you have any personal questions, which room number? No, just kidding. Really needy. Hey, please come to my room. No. Men's accepted as well. I'm really open-minded. It's very important in a diversified, woke culture to be open-minded. So, if you have any questions later on, we're having a get-together outside. Thank you very much. It was great being here, and thank you. Take care.